now I'm delighted to welcome our next presenter, Julie DeTraglia from Hulu, who's going to enlighten us about their users and how they use Hulu.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, everybody, for having me. So the topic is very broad, and I have 15 minutes, maybe less. And fortunately, we just did a lot of work recently on trying to figure out who the audience is, why they use Hulu, where, when, how, using both our internal data, a lot of third-party data, and then doing a bunch of custom surveys. So we just really put that together. So this is the first time it's really been shown outside of our buildings. So who is the Hulu audience? I'm going to look here. Avid fans who represent the changing face of TV, viewers motivated by choice and control, young, affluent, active consumers, or what we're calling TV forward. So they're at the leading edge of this behavioral shift, and I'm sure you've all seen some of this, but these are actually new numbers from our friends at ComScore. We have about 20 million people watching on living room devices, and I'll get more into this a little bit later, about 13 million on PC, 4 million on mobile. This now includes audiences in front of those devices as opposed to just screens. And that comes out to about 33 million young and affluent viewers. Median age of 33, median income of 84,000. And by the way, this is to the ad-supported product only. That's one of the things we've gotten a lot of questions about because a lot of our third-party data does include the no ad. This is ad-supported only. So now we get into the when, why, how, where, and all of that. So looking at by device, we all know technology has enabled this shift. You know, Hulu used to be a desktop-only service. Then mobile came along, and there were sort of high expectations for what the iPad would do to mobile. And then all these devices came along that allowed people to watch television back on a television set, and guess what? That's what they really preferred to do. So just a couple of years ago, in 2014, we had about half of our viewing on living room devices, about a third on PC, and the rest of it on mobile. This happened in just really a couple of years. So now we see 75% of our viewing on living room devices. Mobile's been about flat, and desktop really dropped to single digits for the first time in a while. By the way, there's not only a shift, but also tremendous growth. It's 233% increase in the living room only. So we've really seen a lot of growth there. This is what living room looks like, by the way. People always ask us what devices are they watching on. About 42% on what we call set-top box, which is different than like a cable set-top box, but it's a Roku, Apple TV, any sort of television video watching device you connect to your TV set, game console, Xbox, PS, all of those other ones out there. Smart TV, really long tail of a lot of connected smart televisions, and then 5% on Blu-ray. We also ask our users how many of these devices do they own and how many do they watch Hulu on, and this comes from a survey we just did. It's a lot of devices, almost 8 that they own and almost 5 that they actually watch on. Unfortunately, I don't have a benchmark for that yet for what that looks like by an average, but we're going to do some more exploration around that as well. So we looked a little bit at our internal data to try to see if there are differences or different reasons for the way that people watch across these platforms, whether demographically or by genre. And there's a few things we pulled out here that we thought were interesting to share. So younger male viewers have a high affinity for animation and cartoons, and they watch most often on console devices, and the same holds true for what we call edgy workplace comedies. Serialized dramas are really enjoyed by the broadest range of Hulu viewers, and we see those a lot on connected TV devices. Late night series, more commonly male, also viewed on connected devices, and documentaries, more likely to be older viewers, like 35 plus, and more likely in the living room. News and information over indexes on PC, not surprising, a lot of that short clips, and we see some reality shows over index there as well. On the phone, we see Hispanic content as well as viewing of young female skewing scripted dramas. And then finally on tablet, they over-index for older audiences and have high viewership amongst classics and sci-fi. So now a quick look at time of day usage. This is what the linear live television curve looks like. I mean, I think everyone's sort of familiar with this. Builds throughout the day, peaks at 9 o'clock at night, and then drops off overnight. So this is Hulu viewing across devices, these next few lines. This is phone, and not surprisingly, it's pretty flat. People always have it. It's always on. Some of you might be watching right now on your phones. It still does peak in prime time, but it peaks a little bit later. Same thing goes for PC, although we see PC have a little bit of a bump during the day. Again, there's probably some more short-form content being watched there, and we see a later peak. For living room, it really more closely mirrors what the linear television audience looks like, with that peak about 9 o'clock, but it does sort of not drop off quite as quickly. Could be people watch their linear television, then they switch over to on-demand when that's done. And then tablet really looks the same as phone and PC. And we also suspect there might be some of, taking your device into the bedroom and watching, before you go to bed. So this is everything I just said. This is sort of an interesting one. This is the curve amongst kids programming. So it's not when kids view, but it's viewing to kids programming. And in this case, it's the average of all the shows that target the set of like toddlers to preschool. So those of you who have or have ever had this audience living in your home, you'll recognize some of these spikes. We like to call this one, I just want to take a shower. That one about 5 o'clock is known as wine o'clock. And then this one is, for the love of God, it's still dark out. And this is when, you please just take this tablet, watch Curious George, and give me a few. So now, just looking at the audience as consumers, this comes from, again, some survey work and then some third-party data. We know that about half of them are married, about half of them have kids, many are employed full-time, most of them live in and around a city, and half of them have been subscribers for 3 or more years. They are swayable shopaholics. This is MRI data, which we love. It means that they like to buy a lot of stuff, and they're really amenable to advertising messaging. They like to change brands often. They're influenced by what's hot and what's not. They like to make impulsive purchases. It's all great for our partners. They are also super influential in just about every category you can come up with. So how people watch. Again, we did a little survey work to figure out sort of where Hulu fits into their overall television viewing landscape. So most of them have another SVOD service. Many have Netflix, about half have Amazon, and 22% have some form of HBO on demand. Also, about 70% have regular old-fashioned TV. Amongst younger viewers, that number drops to 61%. 31% watch more TV shows. Again, this is self-reported, but claim to watch more TV shows on Hulu than on regular TV. And again, that changes amongst younger viewers. It goes up to 42%. 73% agree Hulu has excellent or very good quality as opposed to regular TV. Don't forget there's a lot of regular TV shows on Hulu as well. 1 in 5 watch every day. That goes to 1 in 4 amongst younger viewers. 54% watch at least 6 hours per week, and 65% claim to watch television programs as opposed to Netflix, which is about 33%. So we know that this is a real, TV platform. So we have content that's released in a couple different ways. Obviously, all of our owners and media partners, we have the last night's television, which is released week to week. Our originals we release week to week for the most part, although we have done some experiments lately where we've done full season, the same way that Netflix does. And the point is that we want to serve the needs of all the viewers, and what we found is that about a third like to watch week to week. About 60% watch multiple episodes at a time, and that's 8% actually. That's an entire season or series in one sitting. So there is a lot of binge viewing that happens as well. In fact, about half viewers watch 3 or more episodes in one sitting at least once a week, and that goes up higher when it comes to younger viewers. They also watch with other people. What we found is that about 60% watch with someone else at least weekly, and you can see what that looks like. And then we asked, who are you watching with? And not surprisingly, most of it's partner or spouse. There's still a bunch of people who want to watch alone. A third with children, 20% with friends, 12% other family members, and 2% the mysterious someone else. I don't know who that is, but I can't figure it out. I don't know. It's some stranger who lives in the house. I don't know. A pizza delivery person. Come on in. So this brings up an important point that I just want to talk about really quickly, and it kind of dovetails nicely with the conversation with Reno earlier today, in that right now the way that we serve ads is to a screen and not to an audience. And we announced last year in Upfront that we were working on a partnership with Nielsen, and a lot of you are in the room, and we are continuing that partnership where we are working on a way to measure audiences sitting in front of living room devices because, as I said before, 3/4 of our viewing is happening on those screens. So we've made a lot of progress. We think it's a really important step to provide sort of holistic campaign-level measurement across devices that accounts for audience and not just screens. So you'll be seeing more about that in the coming weeks and months. So why people watch? So we, again, did a lot of survey work, and we found that the reasons and motivations for using Hulu fall into these 5 general categories: choice, convenience, control, selection, broader range of programming, and of course, fewer ads. So the other thing we found is that the choice for viewing sort of depends on the situation in which they're viewing. So we kind of put these into 3 different categories, what we call passive, neutral, and purposeful viewing. So passive viewing means that they wake up and start their day, television is background noise, they're rushed, they don't have a lot of time. Regular television seems to be the choice there. For sort of neutral activities like exercising or eating, or hopefully that's not happening at the same time, the choices could kind of go either way. When it comes to purposeful sort of on-demand viewing, that's when Hulu users choose Hulu over regular television. And again, this shouldn't be surprising to anybody. Again, we're talking to Hulu viewers here. What are the reasons, which of these words do you associate more, with Hulu or with regular TV? And all of those, top reasons for having the service in the first place pop to the top. It's controllable, convenient, personal, fun, relaxing, comfortable, timely, easy. Social is kind of both, makes a lot of sense because live TV is all about being social. The commercial experience. So this whole importance of choice and control extends to the commercial experience as well. 83% think Hulu is a friendlier place due to the lighter ad load. 64% agree the ads are more relevant to them. 68% are more likely to watch commercials on Hulu than regular TV. And by the way, we did a study last year where we looked at high, medium, and low ad receptivity and no ad receptivity. Those people are out there too. So even amongst those with low ad receptivity, they're more likely to sit through Hulu commercials than regular TV, and it's because the load is lighter and because it's more relevant to them and because they have some control over that experience. 78% think the commercials are less disrupted. That goes up amongst low receptivity groups. And here's some of the reasons. They have some control. First of all, we tell them, this is one of 3 ads, you have 90 seconds, whatever it is that's left. Secondly, they have a choice. They can say, do you want to watch a longer ad at the beginning and have no ads the rest of the time? And we also do an ad selector model where we say, which one of these ads do you want to see? And they feel like that fits nicely into the environment, and they really appreciate that that's done on the ad side as well. Finally, where people watch. I think this is finally. There's just a couple of things here. And again, 94% of the viewing is in the home. And the rooms all sort of make sense. Most of it's living room, bedroom, den, kitchen, basement, outside, and finally, bathroom. And that was a much bigger number than I thought it was going to be. 7% claim to regularly or frequently watch Hulu in the bathroom. So we decided it was time to take a deeper plunge. Right? That's good. All right. That's all right. It wasn't mine. It wasn't my joke. So Hulu subscribers are more likely to view in the bathroom if they are men, surprising nobody, have had a Hulu subscription for longer, are more satisfied with the service, are more affluent because they got really nice bathrooms, are married, which is interesting, and have children. And this is the one that had the biggest difference, right? So 11% of those with children versus 3% of those without. So these people are hiding in their really nice bathrooms from their kids and their spouses to watch their favorite television programs. And that's all I have. Thank you.